Hey, welcome back to another video. Hopefully you're coming back from another one of my videos, but if this is your first time here, just a quick reminder that you can subscribe, you can like, you can comment. All those things really do help me out, but now I am going to get into this build because as you can see, I'm already building a fence. This week, what I did was I added the deer and another species. That's going to be a different video though. But in this one, I'm just working on the fence for the deer. And I like to make my own fences, as I did with every other species so far, and I will continue to do, because that saves you from having to pay for maintenance, basically. The only thing that's being maintained in this zoo is the electricity and the water filter plants. So everything else, the fences, don't have to be looked at by the mechanics, which obviously saves you a bunch on cost, but also on time. Like, you don't have to hire as many mechanics. I guess that's another cost saving measure. So it saves them their time, meaning you need to hire less of them. So over here, I'm just thinking about what kind of fences I would see in Europe in a zoo that has deer, and I figured that some sort of electric fence was probably going to be in order because they like to jump everything. Like if there's just a regular fence, and even if there is an electric fence, let's be honest, the deer will go through or over it. So this is not super realistic in my opinion, having seen a lot of deer out in the wild, but it's sort of what you would see, close to what you would see in an actual zoo or animal park that has deer. They would have an electric fence combined with some sort of tall wood fence to deter the animals from trying to jump out. And so I just built exactly that, basically. Oriented myself by what I've seen in nature, or not in nature, in man-made parks. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the fence. I did a little detour here to match it up to the doorway because obviously I can't just have fence posts running through the doorway. The keepers would not be able to get through. So I just made some little smaller pieces, and there's not an electric fence there either, so the keepers can get through. So I'm just matching that up to the other side, matching up some more log pieces to connect the fence to the door. I think I did the wire mesh under the bottom too. I think they do that for like the littler ones so they don't try to go through underneath. Or actually could also be deterring the guests from trying to crawl through there and then touching the electric fence. You don't want that either. So there comes our first deer. And I immediately had to check the traversable area to make sure that the fence was actually good enough for the game. And then just went through my regular routine of what I do. I just adjusted the terrain to where the deer liked it and gave it some enrichment. And then I set myself the task of making this look a little prettier. So this part in the bottom here, you'll see I actually did that first in the stream, but I flipped them around for the video because I think this is a much more interesting thing to watch, and most people don't watch the end of the video. So if you do, you're a real one, thank you. If you don't, it's okay. That's why I flipped this around, so you could be part of this deer habitat building part of it, because it's a lot more fun to watch, I think, and a lot more, like, you can learn a lot more from that. So I'm just putting a bunch of trees here just to sort of try to blend it with the environment, I guess, and also give the deer somewhat of a woods feel. Like, deer are in the woods, they're not out in the open like that usually. So I just gave them a nice little scenery backdrop, because from the guest view, as you can see right here, this looks beautiful. And it kind of looks like there's maybe a forest in the back there. And then I was like, oh, what if the deer had a little stream? Because the zoo is called Meandering Stream, and also they need some water to drink. So I just removed the habitat fencing, not the fencing, but like the outline of the actual habitat, so that I can modify the terrain. And then I did that and put the fence back, obviously, so the deer don't escape. And that was it for the deer, pretty much. There's one hopping around, all happy-like. And now we're gonna jump to the beginning of the stream, actually, so backwards in time. You'll see the timer at the bottom. Go back And I did the same thing that I just did for the deer, where I blended them more with the background for the emus as well. So I took out a bunch of rocks, as you can see, and just kind of made a little rock formation just so that there's something more in the enclosure. And then I also went later on and I found more plants because it just looks really bare, and I wanted to create a visual barrier from the guest point of view, so when they look out into the exhibit, the back of it is not just completely bare, like there's nothing else. And I think that's probably also realistic. Like most zoos, you're not gonna be in this situation where there is nothing for miles and miles and miles. So here I've jumped to the peafowl exhibit. Maybe I don't do that with the emus in this video. I didn't watch this again, so I maybe should have. But the peafowl is the same thing. So I was very, very annoyed with the peafowl exhibit. It was the first or the second one that I did. I actually can't remember. But it looked awful. I can do a lot better. I know that. So over here, I just tried to do a lot better. I just tried to make it more attractive looking, I guess. Because it really bothered me that it's basically an empty slab of land with a walking path through it, and that was it. Like, the inside of the exhibit was so bad. So I wanted to put some landscaping in the back there. I left some space behind it, obviously, for the building that's going to go there eventually. But I did a lot of landscaping, as you can see. I put a bunch of trees outside because I didn't want to add to the foliage coverage for the animals, because they already have enough from the little hedge that is their fence. Unfortunately, that counts towards their foliage needs, so we're still good. I didn't add too much more there. It's just on the outside, so it's nice for the visual for the guests, but the birds are not going to be annoyed by it. And then, unfortunately, this little arch that I spent so much time building had to go. I just couldn't make friends with the idea of it being there. And then I also did change the path up pretty drastically, and I actually created a little fountain inside of the exhibit, which I think is such a cute idea, and it's also kind of realistic because I feel like a lot of zoos or like parks in general will have some sort of a water feature anyway, and in this case it's not just a water feature for the guests to look at, but it's also actually useful because the peafowl can drink out of the water at the bottom of it. So I just made a little, as you can see, rock. I put a bunch of rocks down, and this is going to take me a while here to assemble them, but I have this little ramp piece in the middle there, and then I put a bunch of other rocks around the side of it. And then I later on played with the little effects items, I guess. The effects thingy. I don't know what they're called. They're the little things that make like water shoot out of places, or confetti fly up, or mud fly up. And I actually found a bunch. Yeah, there you go. I found a bunch of new ones that it's just called a special effect that I didn't even know existed. Like the confetti. I'm pretty sure I didn't know that existed because I bought a bunch of packs when I got back into playing Planet Zoo, which I think there was like probably a 6-month time period where I didn't play it at all. And I was like, oh, let me just kind of catch up with the packs. And I bought a bunch of them. And those came with some different special effects that I didn't know about. So yeah, I just put a little fountain thing in the back there, and a little running water effect down to the ramp, or down the ramp into the water basin at the bottom that was there anyway. And I guess that kind of inspired me to even do this in the first place, because there's water at the bottom. Like, where's that water coming from? That would evaporate, right, if there wasn't something to make it go there. So it kind of just helps. And then I found a bunch of these little hedge pieces that I didn't really know existed before, and I hid one, actually. So if you are still here to the end of the video, comment down below, the bunny is in the hedge, and I'll know that you watched to the end. That would be so awesome. And that's pretty much all for this stream. Thank you very much for joining me again, or if this is your first time, welcome to the channel. I try to post once a week, and I also stream on Twitch, so you can follow me here and there and leave a like or a comment or whatever you want to do. don't forget, the bunny is in the hedge. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.